Okay. Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street NOLA, Independent Street Tarot. It's Season's Ritual, and I'm here with my good friend Helen the Crimson Cadaverous.
Hello.
We're making our way through this Mercury retrograde.
Yes, it's murky with the murk.
Yeah, it's pretty mercs. And as we were talking, there's times where it just really hits you in the face, like, oh, Mercury is totally retrograde.
Yeah, I kind of forget sometimes, and then like somehow just something randomly won't work, and I'm like, all right.
It just hit the wrong button, although that could just be me. Well, as we were saying before we started the video, Venus Venus stationed direct yesterday, is that correct? On Sunday.
Yes, and it was funny because like for like a brief period of time, we didn't have, I guess it would be 6 planets retrograde. But now our buddy Jupiter, good old jovial Jupiter, has station retrograde, and we're back at it.
Yeah. So
But
today
at least,
is
at least Venus is kind of station direct, and she's kind of like working through all the things that kind of came up through that time period.
yeah, and with Uranus going retrograde a few days ago and then her turning direct, I do see it, that Uranus is those lightning bolts and just things coming out of the blue. Even though now, like if you look back on something, you're like, oh, I can totally see it. But like things are ending quick with Uranus
Yeah, I
turning.
think it's shifting really quickly, and like there's a lot of evidence of that. And there's like we were talking about, there's a lot of evidence of things just kind of like veils being lifted, things like becoming clear, and like we're just like we're at that period where we're just like working through it and like dealing with like reality as it is.
Yeah. I don't think Mitch McConnell's going to make it back for entertainment purposes only.
His program glitched out.
Yeah, I don't think
I don't think they have like upgrades for that old of a program anymore.
I don't think so. And I mean, I think he's like going like out, if you guys can read between the lines. Okay. So we're here on Monday.
Yes, it's not Jupiter's day, except for it is Jupiter's day.
Yes. The moon is in Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
And the big news today is that Jupiter is stationing retrograde today. And
Yeah,
Jupiter is actually in Taurus.
yes. And forming a conjunction with the moon
Hmm.
and forming a trine with Mercury.
Okay.
So Jupiter's super busy,
He's a
which is
big,
great. It's like
he's a big
no
guy.
matter,
He's a big planet.
I always say that Jupiter, no matter how you read, like normally, like if you're like, oh, squares or oppositions, whatever, anything Jupiter's doing, I always read as positive because he's just like, even if it's like a square, he's like challenging us to have fun. So it's like, all right, can't be that bad. So like today, he's like super active, and like whenever a planet stations retrograde, it's basically just a period of reflecting upon that energy.
Hmm.
So not always a bad, you're not necessarily a bad thing.
Hmm.
Um, so reflecting upon the Jupiter energy, and to me, like Jupiter energy is expansion, and I keep hearing with this one, it's more about like reflecting upon where we've been playing small,
Hmm.
like where we've kind of like not been like our full selves.
Hmm.
Like this is that period to kind of think about those things and be like, all right, where am I playing small? Where can I expand my vision? Where can I keep, like making it bigger, growing?
Hmm.
Um, so again, big opportunity moments with
Hmm.
Jupiter stationing retrograde. And it's almost like within a few hours, the same time, within same day, we have the moon conjunct Jupiter. It's
Hmm.
like we're really feeling this need to
Hmm.
expand and like kind of make it into like almost like a part of our daily routine that we're like always like thinking about how are we expanding? How are we being bigger? How do we keep going and growing?
I like that. And I feel too like with its stationing retrograde and like touching on Uranus, and like you said, how can I get bigger? It's like looking around and seeing the places where maybe you need to unload some things or some people or
Yeah.
projects, that aren't allowing you to expand. And I feel like if we just like with the moon, which is our intuition and things like it, we either know or we're gonna see it. Like I can't keep doing this. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I can't keep doing this. It's just gonna be like, I can't keep doing this, like this
Yeah.
isn't helping. Because Venus, who did turn direct, rules Taurus. And that's
Yeah.
that divine feminine energy, you know, and she's like, hey, I'm here, I'm showing up. I remember my self-worth. And it comes in different phases to show you and to remind you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like sometimes we say like, oh, it looks like this and it means that. And it does. But it'll show itself in those terms, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And I feel
And
like Jupiter, okay.
oh, I was just gonna say it's interesting that you mentioned Venus because she's
Mhm.
squaring the moon today.
There you go. You know,
And
and
so
so
again, acknowledging us to remember our self-worth.
yeah. And to see, okay, let's go. And then to see Jupiter stationing retrograde in Taurus, her home sign, one of her home signs. You know, and Jupiter saying like, okay, well, you want to get big or you want to do these things, you want to bring in the luck. What
Yeah.
what needs to click because it's switching direction.
Yep. And Mercury trine Jupiter is like giving us this like beautiful opportunity to really think about how we expand. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is it, what does it take for us to actually be like kind of like in a state of expanded vision, past where we're at now, past, again, this idea that we need to like play small in some respect.
Right. Go over all the options. And I seek this too in the realms of, and listen, when I'm saying Mitch McConnell's not going to make it, but I mean, I'm saying that in a lot of ways, but also I understand he has friends and family and those things, and he is a human being. And,
Right.
you know, when people transition, it is a thing. At the same time though, like if you can start seeing things without people in them, how does that expand and open up your vision and how maybe you can show up? And I'm just using that as one example, but you can use it in
Right.
your own life. I'm not saying, okay,
How do we
you know what I mean.
expand past old paradigms?
Yes. Yes,
And
that's it.
perhaps he's like kind of like the archetype, that we're using to like kind of envision that with.
Yeah, especially like that old patriarchal archetype for sure.
Oh, totally. And again, that program, they don't have upgrades for that old program anymore. And we
And
have to keep reminding ourselves of that.
that's what I was about to say. I was about to say that. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to say about today? Happy Labor Day.
Yes, happy Labor Day. And, remember, damn the man.
I
You
feel
don't
like
have
that.
to,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you don't
feel
have to
like
work for
that.
anybody if you don't want to.
Yeah, I feel like that. That strike, that Hollywood strike, even though other sections are starting to start striking, I feel like they're going to start these talks up again now that Venus has gone direct. Honestly,
Yeah, I think so too. And now that the, fall season is supposed to start up shows.
what are we going to do? Oh, I know. Go outside and have remember how to love ourselves. Okay, Tuesday. Yeah.
Yes, it actually has some very rebellious energy Tuesday.
All right, lay it on me.
Yeah, we've got the moon still in Taurus for a little bit, forming a conjunction with Uranus, who, of
Mm-hmm.
course, wants us to liberate, wants us to rebel. And we also have a square with Lilith
Oh,
and
good.
a trine with Pluto. So all of those energies are urging us, encouraging us, however you want to say, to liberate ourselves from anything that A represents the old paradigms, but also B represents something that's inauthentic to us.
And when that Lilith coming in again, I always see Lilith as accountability, taking
Yep.
accountability for yourselves, but also starting to say like, this is not my monkeys, not my circus. I'm not taking that's not my shit. I'm not taking accountability for that too.
Yep. And it's interesting because you talk about accountability because once the moon moves into Gemini, we square with Saturn, which definitely also is accountability as well. So there's a lot of, just challenging us to hold ourselves accountable, but also I feel like I keep saying because especially with the conjunction with Uranus, like holding others accountable as well. And
Yeah.
that like there's something about by holding others accountable, we're kind of holding ourselves accountable too.
Right. And I'm going back to a conversation I had earlier this morning. And we were just talking about different things going on, and I said, well, you're seeing things clearly. You're seeing how, this person creates chaos and create, okay. And so is she going to call them up and say, you create chaos?
Right. That's the point. Yeah.
Right. But because she's holding them accountable for what they're doing, it then released her from saying, oh, well, don't I need to jump into this and keep
Right.
fixing things? Yeah. So I
Yep.
see it. like I'm reiterating what you're saying, I think, with another story. And like sometimes when we hold people accountable, like we can hold them accountable. We don't have to confront them,
No.
but we can hold them accountable, saying like, this is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And recognize that energy and like just act accordingly, basically.
Yeah, because that moon in Taurus trining Pluto and Capricorn, right? That Capricorn is how we work.
Yeah.
And Pluto is that transformational energy, and so if we decide, okay, I'm holding them accountable, I don't have to work with them. I can work differently. I can work with myself, because you also have what did it say? Trine Pluto and Capricorn and Pallas Athena. Oh, so it's trining. The moon is also going to trine Pallas Athena, who's in Virgo.
Yeah. So it's almost like it's kind of like a loose grant trine. And I just keep hearing like working smarter, not harder.
Right. And so with Pallas Athena, she is
To strategize how to do that.
right
Like
in
how do
Virgo.
you not spend so many hours or so much energy doing something, but you still efficiently accomplish something.
Right. And Virgo is going to resolve that. So again, if you are able to hold someone accountable and be like, that's you, not me. Okay, well, you're going to get a lot more done than always trying to think about working with
It's
someone.
discernment. It's a very discerning energy.
Yes. Discernment. That's a great way to put it. Okay. And then, as you said, later in the day, the moon will move into Gemini
Yes.
in square
To make
Saturn.
it airs things out a little bit, like makes
Yeah.
things a little lighter because it'll get a little heavy with Taurus.
Yeah. And you guys can see like Gemini is going to bring in lots of different options.
Yes.
So see your options.
Lots of curiosity.
Yeah. In different ways to resolve things, right?
Mhm.
And because you also said like squaring, and then the moon move in Gemini will square Saturn and Pisces. And Saturn wants that stability.
Yes. The
Yeah,
structure, the foundation, the solid, thing to build upon.
solid. Okay, Wednesday, moon will still be in Gemini. Is it going to be
Yes.
in Gemini the whole day on Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, we've got the last quarter moon that day because the moon's going to square the sun,
Mhm.
but also squaring Mercury on the same day.
And Mercury's
So,
retrograde.
yes. And Mercury is conjunct the sun that same day. So that's the Mercury chasmy.
Hmm.
So that basically means whenever we say chasmy, that means in the heart of. So
Hmm.
Mercury's in the heart of the sun.
Hmm.
So Mercury's our mind, communication. It's almost like we're going to the heart of our minds. I know
Hmm.
that sounds a little weird, but like kind of, like connecting the two in a way I kind of
Hmm.
see.
I like that.
But yeah, and again, the sun kind of like shines a light on our authenticity, the things that are true to us. And, with Mercury, the mind being there, it's like, what do we really think is true to us? Where do our thoughts go? What does that mean?
Yeah, and I always say Gemini is the twins, right? And I always say one rules the mind, one rules the heart. So I think all that fits really well together. And
Yeah.
again, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury and Mercury's retrograde, this could be a time where we go over something, something comes back around like you really like doing, or you really you want to revisit something and maybe shift it a little bit, or revisit something and say, well, I guess maybe that's not going to work. We can do something else, but again, with Gemini, there's options, you guys. It's not duality, it's options. So you can pick one road and there's a ton of options that way. You can pick this road,
Mhm.
there's a ton of options that way. So make sure you bring in, because we have the sun, which is our self-esteem.
Yes.
So make sure you guys bring in the self-esteem.
Yes. And I
Oh.
think again, the moon is squaring the sun,
Mhm.
so we got that last quarter moon. That is that is challenging us to just kind of like release the things that aren't true to us. And
Mhm.
it's really like a challenge from the universe that's saying, all right, are you done with this? It's not yours. It doesn't feel right.
Right.
Clinging to it. Let it
Right. And
go.
also, because it says here too, it's sextiling Venus. The moon will be sextiling Venus in Juno. So while
Yes.
it's in square with the sun, but it's sextiling Venus, who just went direct and knows who she is, in Juno, who is that partnership, which again is so interesting because Gemini is two. Juno we see as relationships and partnerships.
Yeah.
And they're both in Leo, and the sun rules Leo, right?
Yes.
So even though there's that square, there's also a harmonious aspect in that as well.
Yes.
in
I
a
definitely
different.
think it's like something about like letting us just like easily let things go that like, if we know in our heart of hearts just isn't ours, isn't true to us, doesn't, we don't feel valued in a situation, like
Very good.
let it go.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Cause it's like, why would you cling to something that makes you feel like that? You know?
Right. You're hitting the nail on the head. You're hitting the nail on the head. Okay, Thursday. Thursday, the moon will still be in Gemini in the morning.
Yes. And then we've got kind of like a loose T square with
Mhm.
the moon squaring Neptune in Pisces and Pallas Athena in Virgo, which to
Mhm.
me, I feel like the challenge with that, which a T square obviously is, like a challenge from the universe. Like, how do we release this tension?
Mhm.
Neptune is our dreams. Pallas Athena is how we strategize. It's almost like how we release tension is to actually come up with a plan for actualizing our dreams.
And I know I keep saying this a lot, you guys. But it's important to strategize new dreams.
Yeah.
We can't keep the old story to the new dream,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or even if it's an old dream, it needs a new storyline. Okay. Because as much as we keep expanding and learning new things and seeing ourselves differently, then we have to see our dreams differently.
Yeah.
So make sure
Yeah.
you guys are bringing in that new energy and new storyline to these dreams.
Well, and especially with the moon in Gemini, like that's remaining open minded. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, that's the thing. Like, we can dream differently. We can, come up with a new vision for things. We can do things differently, and that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So does it stay in Gemini all day on Thursday too?
When I looked, it was like right at midnight, the moon
Okay,
changed.
we'll
It's
take
kind of
it.
crazy. Yeah.
Okay, because then it's trining Sirius in Libra, which is
Yeah.
a good, and conjunct Vesta, and
Yes.
sextiling the North Node in Eris, who is in Aries. So this is a lot of movement, you guys.
Yeah.
Thursday, there's a lot of movement.
And I keep seeing with like, because the North Node has been close with Eris recently, and I keep seeing this as like Eris kind of coming in and just sweeping away shit out of the way to
Hmm.
our true path. Like, just being like, this isn't yours. This isn't yours. Like, get out. You need a clear path. Like, almost like somebody like saying, like, you need clear egress. Like her, like, kind of being like that really, like, bossy lady coming in and being like, this is in the way. This is in the way. Just like
Yeah,
shoving it out. Cause she's like, you need a safe path to what you're supposed to be doing.
keep
And so
moving.
I
I
think
like that.
a North Node and Eris are kind of like working together. It's just to kind of like clear the path.
I like that a lot. And I also like all this fire energy that's coming in.
Yes.
With the sun, the square the day before, um, Venus and Leo. And then we
Yes.
have on Thursday, the moon will be conjunct Vesta, which is our flame, and then sextiling in a trine is a good energy. Conjunct is a good energy because they're close,
Yeah.
and a sextile is a good energy.
Yes.
So an Aries, North Node, and Eris in Aries.
Yes.
It's
So
gonna
lots of fire, and fire is passion. Fire is, our flame that keeps us going, our reason for living. Why are we doing all this? That's the fire.
right, and you just might remember how fucking cool you are on that day.
Yes, I agree. And
Yeah.
that's definitely an energy where I feel like we're kind of like reclaiming something about us that's like so real and so true that like once we get it, it is like almost like a flame reigniting.
Yeah, here. Oh yeah, I forgot how cool I am. And now I remember. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Friday, the moon will move in Cancer.
Yes. And actually this is like a super super interesting day because like we've got this like really strong feminine energy, but we also have some like really strong masculine energy, and I see like a lot of like balance kind of coming out of this day,
Okay,
and
great.
us being able to like kind of nurture ourselves while we like kind of balance ourselves as a whole.
And we can say how many planets are retrograde right now? Six.
6 plus Chiron.
Okay, six plus Chiron. And so
So
Friday,
it's
like,
basically all of the outer planets plus Mercury, and then Venus just came out.
okay. Um, so you're saying like a lot of balance on Friday with the masculine and feminine. So,
Yeah.
and with these planets retrograde, it's a good time just to kind of go over these things and know that, like, oh, take a step back, and now we're going to show up this way.
Right. Because Venus right now is in a masculine sign, Leo,
Hmm.
and Mars is in one of Venus's signs, which is
Libra.
feminine, Libra.
Uh-huh.
So, like, in a way, I think in the past we would have been like, oh, they're out of their element, they're whatever. I
Yeah.
think now it's more like it's really kind of like a refreshing energy because they're able to like kind of explore these things that help them grow. Because
Right.
it's like they stick in like their own signs all the time. There's no growth.
There's no growth. You get an echo chamber.
Right.
Yep. So
And
Friday's going to go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's like the most interesting thing to me on Friday is the Venus conjunction with Juno,
Hmm.
because that to me is like a really strong feminine energy. And I want to see like something about like committing to like our divine feminine, like committing to like letting that energy like truly rise in us and shine.
And yeah, because Juno, I think this is a good to me representation of the sign of Leo, because Leo rules the heart
Yes.
and the left eye, and Venus is love, right? But Venus is grounded.
Yeah.
Um in Juno slash Hera, right? She was thought,
Yeah.
she was like, she does represent relationships, right? Because of all the stuff with Zeus and all that,
Right.
which was whatever. That's, we're leaving those stories behind. But Juno represents kind of like science to me, like
Yeah.
um and so on that day in Leo, which is that consciousness of fire and how you show up, you have this conjunction between the heart and the mind.
Yes.
And I think that's really beautiful. And that moon is in watery Cancer, which is the home. So we're kind of like balancing this masculine and feminine again in us, in our home.
Yes, definitely. And I really like the Sun trine Jupiter that day as well, because I feel like that allows us to like expand upon our authenticity.
Hmm.
And so, like, if we're honoring our divine feminine, we're standing in our truth, we're committing to that. Like, it's
Yeah.
a big part of honoring our authenticity and expanding upon it, because I think a lot of the modern rhetoric is to kind of like squash that divine feminine energy,
Hmm.
and we're all kind of like waking up to the fact that we don't need to do that anymore.
No, it's here. And it's almost like the exact thing that's happening with,
Oh my gosh, did you hear that thunder?
was that what that was?
That was thunder.
We didn't hear it over here. I mean, it's raining over here, but there was no thunder over here.
Oh wow, that was like, it had to have been like
Oh,
really
now the
close.
thunder.
Ah, there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because Venus conjunct Juno and Leo, right? And the sun rules Leo. So you have that masculine, that Virgo, um, Virgo's ruled by Mercury though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but it's trining Jupiter, who's in Taurus. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. So I feel like it's almost the same energy there, except with that Virgo in there, which is going to help move
Yeah.
things along. So
Yes.
good
I
day.
definitely think there's like some kind of like almost like transformation going on at this time, where we're just like almost just kind of like being like, all right, I'm going to surrender to who I really am and just
Yeah.
be like that and not try and be all these other things.
No, the Band-Aid's getting ripped off real fast, you guys. So
Yeah.
let
And I
it,
think once we surrender to it, it's actually going to be really easy. It's just like this thing where we're like, and we're
yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So Saturday, the moon in Cancer. So Saturday, the moon will be in Cancer all day, correct?
Yes. Moon
Okay.
and Cancer all day,
It's like
squaring
squaring,
Chiron.
I was gonna say squaring Chiron and Aries. So
Yeah.
maybe in your feels a little bit, maybe not.
Yeah, I think just kind of like challenging us to kind of clear out some old wounds, kind of like do a wound debridement, like clear out all the crap that doesn't really apply anymore that we're clinging to.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot, like people are like, yeah, that doesn't bother me anymore. I used to think this. I'm like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm standing up and I'm speaking up for myself.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of that with that square to Chiron, because the moon is already waning. So we're kind of like releasing things, we're reevaluating.
Mhm.
And that square to Chiron comes in to challenge us to be like, all right, do you really want to hang on to this pain? Do you really want to just be like, oh, I'm so mad. I'm so upset about this? Just We can let it go.
Yeah. Limp. Do you still want to keep limping along?
Right.
No,
Yeah. We don't need to keep limping along, definitely.
no. Because too, the moon in Cancer will be sextiling Jupiter and Uranus. So that's
Yeah.
not a movement, right? That's resetting. It's in Taurus, which is Earth, which is resetting our field. It's like
Yeah.
pulling up the old weeds and putting in some new manure.
Yes, exactly. And then also sextiling the sun, which is like it just again continuing to be true to ourselves.
Yeah, moving things along. This is gonna be a good
Yeah,
week.
I think so.
Okay, Sunday, we're ending the week with the moon in Cancer, squaring Eris and the North
Yeah.
Node.
Yep. Again, that like Eris North Node energy of like kind of clearing the way,
Yeah.
clearing the egress.
Um,
What's impeding us? Get it out of the way.
and then when does the moon, so the moon's gonna be in Cancer all day Sunday too. So it must move at midnight again?
Most of the day, but we'll eventually move into Leo. I put that in the notes, right? Or did I not type that in?
Yeah.
I meant to type that in. I think when I look at it, it looks like it's actually going to be in Cancer most of the day.
Hmm.
And at the very end of the day, we'll move into Leo, but not making any interactions with planets after doing that.
Okay, I think you do that just to make sure I'm reading the notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's probably best.
Right.
Mercury
But look,
retrograde.
we've got that T square actually kind of between the moon and Cancer, the square with Eris and North Node, but also square with Ceres.
Hmm.
Ceres is always asking us to nourish ourselves, to nurture. And it's like, to me, I see like, okay, so moon and Cancer also wants us to nurture. Like, it's an act of self nurturance to move the things out of our way that are impeding us.
Yep, and
And
I
we
think
have to like accept the challenge.
yeah, and I think this is a good energy. I feel like the energy of this week, like we were saying, is like us showing up authentically. You said like sweeping things away so we can keep moving. And I feel like if there was a lot of static, even though Mercury is retrograde, but even if there's all these planets retrograde, but I feel like if there's a lot of static before or people that were creating a lot of nonsense or whatever, people are starting to look around because things are retrograde and they're seeing the people who are actually holding line, like holding course, right? And a lot of times it's probably going to be our listeners, they're doing the work, and showing up and being authentic. And other people are going to be looking around and being like, well, this person's just been showing up, keeping their word, doing what they're saying. And this person over here looks a little,
Yeah.
fill in the blank, fill whatever word you want to use. Okay.
No, I think a lot of truths like that are being revealed. And again, opposition to Pluto, seeing across at the things that, have had a veil on it before, the things that we were kind of clouded, the things that were kind of mysterious. And sextile Uranus, we can do it differently. We
We
don't have
can
to do it
totally,
the way we did before.
and those answers are going to come in fast, you guys.
Yes, definitely a lot of that. And I see like if we just really, relinquish ourselves to this energy and go with the flow, like we're gonna almost like kind of like obstacle course our way around all these things that have been like transversing us, and we could just be like, let me get
Yeah.
somewhere better.
Right. We can stay in our lane in a sense, and that lane is probably some fast moving water
Yep.
to get us to where we need to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's
And
okay to just kind of float around the things.
yeah,
It's
you
not for
can't,
us.
nope, you can't jump out of the float. You got to keep going.
Yeah, gotta go with the flow. And I think there's definitely something about Sunday that like reminds us that it's like totally okay to go with
Yeah.
the flow.
Yeah.
That the flow is taking us where we need to go.
Right. We're asking for these things, they're showing up, so go with the flow.
Right. We don't have to swim upstream.
No, we don't. We can just put our legs in the boat and hold on.
Yes.
Like the log ride.
Yes. It is the log ride.
It's a log
The
ride.
log ride, the log ride of life.
There you go. Okay, you guys, we're moving in some really good energies, I really do believe that. So some of us are experiencing a lot of heartache, but we are seeing the other side of that. Instead of being in that heartache for like, this is it, this is my life. I see people thinking like, this sucks right now, but I know it's actually getting better. And
Yeah.
so everyone, give yourself a pat on the back. You're doing a really good job. And these are tough times, and we're doing a really good job.
It's okay to grieve,
Yep.
but know you're grieving because it's going.
Yeah.
It's things are leaving.
things are leaving, new things are coming in.
Yeah. Yep. It's all about the whole cycle of like death, rebirth, and, you know, keeping it going.
Yeah. And we're moving more towards the equinox. We
Yes.
start going in.
Happening
So,
already.
yeah, it is. Okay. Okay. I will stop there because we got to wrap up this video. So you guys, if you want to reach out to me and Helen or have a session with either one of us, you can reach out to us via our YouTube channels or Instagrams. And then I have my websites. Always smash and subscribe and like or whatever. I know that didn't come out right, but whatever. Okay.
Do the things, you know the drill.
You know the drill. I'll reach, I'm going to check in on Wednesday. I'm probably going to interview my friend Brittany this week, so that'll be fun. And maybe I can talk you to get back on and I keep saying we'll talk trash about politics and astrology. So maybe this week will be the week.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Okay. We'll change.
Personally.
All right, you guys, have a great week and we'll see you next time.
Bye.